back to the channel. My name is Keith. So, we have all these different triads and we need to figure out what we're going to be doing with them. We know all the inversions, we know how to turn them into minor, we know how to turn them into seventh, but how do we apply that? That's what I'm going to show you today. So in this video, we are going to accomplish that goal in 3 different steps. The first one, we're going to use an example song. That example song is Hotel California. The second thing we're going to do is take those chords that we learned and translate those into different triads and different inversions so we could play something a little bit different than just those open position chords. The third thing is we're going to figure out how we're going to take those triads and those different inversions and translate that into solos, because let's face it, everybody just wants to be able to solo on guitar and sound good doing it. So we'll go over a little bit of that. So first things first, we're going to hop down here to the fretboard and we're going to run through the chords of the song. So here's Hotel California. It starts right here on the B minor. Then it goes to an F sharp. Then it goes to an A, then an E, then a G, then a D, then an E minor, then an F sharp 7. So if you didn't get that, all the chords to this are going to be in the description. And I'm going to go ahead and throw up the chords in numeral format right here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take those chords that we learned and we're going to translate those into different inversions and different triads. So we're going to kind of stick around this area of the fretboard here to do that. So the first thing we're going to do is start off with a B minor, right? So where's our B? Our B is right here in the 5th fret in that E shape. We know that because there's our A, and then move up to, there's a B. And our B minor is lifting up the middle finger. That's our B minor, but then if we look at just the bottom, or just the top 3 strings, we're just pressing these down. So this is our triad that we're going to be using here for that B minor. Now the F sharp, we're going to take that F sharp, instead of doing it up here, we're going to take our F sharp and do it right here, right? So this is our F sharp in a C shape. And again, this C shape, F sharp, if you look at just the top 3 strings of what we're pressing, it looks like this. It looks like a D chord, right? So we're going to be using that. The A, again, the A is in the E shape right here. Bottom 3 strings, we're just pressing these 3 down. Then the E, we're going to stick again in this little section here. I know my E is this C shape. Top 3 strings. And then while I'm here, I can go to the G here, which is here. But I want to stay in this area, so I'm going to do my G right over here, right? And those top 3 strings right there. And then for the D chord, I know my D is right here. That's the E-shaped D, top 3 strings. Then an E minor, we know our E minor would be up here. Top 3 strings. Then an F sharp 7, I'm not going to do the F sharp 7 on the top 3 strings. I'm just going to do the F sharp, right? Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those triads that I just showed you and I'm going to play them through in an arpeggiated format, and you'll kind of get an idea of what I'm going for here and what we're getting at. So we're going to start off with that B minor, right? F sharp, A, E, G, D, E minor. You see how cool that sounds, right? So there are tons and tons of different inversions you could do. For example, just sticking with the G chord, right? We have a G here, right? Then we have our G here, here, sorry, here, then a G here, minor. So I don't, with this chord, I'm not going to do that triad, but we have our triad for a G here. And I think this is it. Because that's our G, right? So there's our G. So we could do the G in many different parts of the fretboard. So you're not isolated to just up here, just here, just here. If you know your cage system, you could distill those things down and figure out exactly where those chords lie in their triad form. And what that's going to do is it's going to do a couple things. It's going to allow you to fit into the mix better, and it'll give you a really good jumping off point to get us to step 3. Now, step 3 is learning to solo off of this stuff. Now, the best way to learn, in my opinion, to solo is sticking with the cage system, because we have different chord shapes. If I have a C chord shape, for example, for the G, right? Where's our G? Our G's right here. If I take that right here, I know that right underneath my fingers I have the G major pentatonic. Or if I feel more comfortable with it here, that's a little bit of the major scale. So you get where I'm going here. If you learn all of the pentatonic scales based off of the chord shapes, then you'll be set and kind of figure things out. But the first step is figuring out how you could play that differently depending on where you want to play it on the fretboard. There is one really valuable resource. There is a video that inspired this one that I saw that is more specifically geared to figuring out how to solo over those different chord shapes. So instead of going through that here in verbatim, I'm going to leave a link to that video in the description so you could look at it. I highly recommend doing it. It's a really great video. He said that he's not going to get into all the different triads and different permutations. That's why I kind of felt like, you know what, that's pretty cool. Maybe I'll show you the different triads, and then you could kind of jump onto his video or completely ignore mine. It doesn't matter as long as you play guitar. That's all I care about. But the point is, it's so much fun just to take a song like this, distill it down, figure out different ways to play it, figure out all the different triads that you can do instead of just your open position things here. Once you get that into your head that you could play the same chord in many different places, it's going to open up tons and tons of things for you. So I hope that you found this video helpful, and if you did, like it, and if you liked it a little more, subscribe. I really appreciate it. Helps out the channel. That said, have a wonderful day. And it did not land on the table.